to Superman and Lois TV Talk. This is our episode for the Season 4 penultimate episode, To Live and Die Again. I'm Derek.
And I'm Steve.
Steve Glosson.
Never been on this show before.
Now, that is a bold-faced lie.
This is the first time for me.
Nope, you've been on at least twice, maybe 3 times.
On Superman and Lois TV Talk?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Tim?
He's not in the ether. Well, he probably is, if I'm being 100% honest.
Right, your phone lights up. He was never on.
He was never on. No, you've been on. You've been on previously.
I don't think I have.
You have. Here, I can pull up the episodes.
Okay, what were we talking about when I was on?
Probably Superman and Lois, if I had to
guess. I don't feel like I've done any podcast outside of mentioning it on Geek Out Loud.
Okay, you've been on one episode. I apologize. You were on episode 4. So
A New Hope?
It's been a minute. Yeah, A New Hope. You were on A New Hope.
Okay. Wow.
The title of the episode was Say, Jim, That's a Bad Outfit. So
woo!
It's a good episode for you to be on.
All right.
Well, no, it works out well. One reason I wanted to have you on is because you haven't been on in so long. And obviously this is the final season. And getting to talk about the last few episodes of a Superman show is something you and I have done before. Quite well.
Indeed.
And 2,
well, we did it. We've done it.
If you say done before, that means we did it.
Hey, you know what I found the other day?
Do tell.
I found a black hat that has red letters that say Smallville on it.
Yeah?
You remember those hats?
I do. There's one behind me as we speak.
Yeah, I was like, I'll probably have it on the next time we do Shoe.
I'm pretty sure I got you that from Comic-Con?
Yeah, something like that. Somebody did. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, 2, the other reason I wanted to have you on, Robin and Frank and I could not get our schedules aligned this week. They went ahead and recorded episode 8. We've been dropping episodes, as you know, listeners, as Superman and Lois airs on Monday nights this season. These 2 episodes we've not been able to do, just schedule conflicts. So Robin and Frank tackled 8. I was excited to talk 9 with you because you have not seen the series finale.
Never not.
And I have. And I didn't want an echo chamber of not being able to have a worthwhile conversation about what's to come, with already having that knowledge before me.
That's one of the things I've enjoyed about watching this show is that I have had no idea what's coming at any moment in time. Yeah. I watched the first few episodes and then I kind of fell out because I'm completely unplugged except for like internet, and so everything's streaming. And so if I don't think
you could say you're completely unplugged except internet. That's all the plugs.
Well, you know what I mean. As far as like
that's the one.
Right. I'm sorry. I've completely cut the cord. Basically,
coaxial.
Right. Yeah. And so I have no means of watching the CW live when these things air.
Sure.
And if I kind of get out of the habit of streaming something, I'll forget. So when the first 3 seasons were all on Max, I'm like, I'm going to go back and catch up because I was seeing clips here and there that I really liked, and I'm like, gosh, and I did like the show. I never did not like the show.
Yeah.
And so I called up, man, and was just so anticipating this season, and I at this point it hasn't really disappointed at all. I mean, but I've really enjoyed like not being an insider, not going to the websites and getting the spoilers. And
very different than what we did
very much
13, 14 years ago.
Very much so. And so I'm watching this thing just as a pure fan. Not that you guys aren't, but you know what I mean. Just absolutely an ignorant fan, I should say. Absolutely loving it. And as this season has gone on, man, I've just had this sense of dread just well up in my throat the whole time. I'm like, they're going to screw me over. Because the first thing...
They screwed you over in the beginning. The first episode, they screwed you over.
Let me just say...
He died, Mr. Coach Klein.
He died, Mr. Coach Klein.
They killed that Superman.
Let me start this way, I guess.
Please do.
Let me back up.
Beep.
In 2009...
Way forward.
I went to see a movie called Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Listen, I know. That's fine. In that movie, there's a moment where Optimus Prime gets run through with a sword and dies.
Yeah.
And my friend that was with me at the time, I leaned over and I said, I don't want to watch this again in my life.
Yeah.
oh, I want to see this again in my life. To
You've
see
already
Optimus.
watched that man die once, that robot
I
man.
did, and
Yeah.
it was, it was that traumatizing child thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I had trauma from it, but I didn't like it.
Trauma?
Yeah,
Trauma.
and trauma,
There,
and
W in there?
there's something.
There's something.
And then I think of this quote in Infinite Crisis #1, when everything's kind of falling apart at the beginning of it, not Crisis on Infinite Earths, but Infinite Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman are like, "What are we going to do about this? We got to do something." And Batman's like, "We need to fight. We need to," and Superman's like, "I'm not like you. I don't try to control everything." He's like, "I know you don't. You like to inspire people, and quite frankly, Clark, the last time you inspired anybody was when you were dead." And
Dang.
I feel like for years, and I said this at Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. At the end of that, I said, "Well, they finally did what they wanted to do." For years, they wanted to kill Superman on screen,
Yeah.
in live action, and
All the way back to 96, 95.
yeah, like that's been the thing that we want to see happen.
Yeah.
And because that story in the comics was powerful, it was good, it was beautiful, it was wonderful, and so this show did it so well. Everything about what happened was so well, but then, Derek, there were little loopholes.
Yeah.
After that, Lex Luthor steps on the heart and apparently destroys Superman's heart. I'm sorry, I've got a Fortress of Solitude where they can take and make a 60-year-old man's heart fit in Superman. You telling me, hey, here's all the material of a number one? How do you squish a Kryptonian heart?
It's just an easy bake oven situation. We just pop that on over there.
Well, I just feel like there could be something done with it. Like I would that's it, my mind goes to that. Then now I'm thinking they just want to kill him. They just want to kill him in this thing, and so
they did.
They did, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the way the season opened. I thought everything was. I love the return. I love everything about it. But then, as with everything diminishing, and golly, like I love this Lex Luthor. I love the characterization. I love that he's driven by just sheer hatred and vengeance, and to the point of being crazy. Like he is criminally insane,
mm-hmm.
and I love that he is so obsessed, because that is a characteristic of Lex Luthor that has traveled throughout just about every incarnation of him. That at some point, his obsession turns to Superman, and that becomes all he wants done.
Right.
And sometimes it's played for more comedic effect. Sometimes it's played for, and this has been the perfect amount of sinister and
demented.
Everything.
I mean, I'm trying to think of, I've said, and I want to reiterate that I have never said anything bad about Cudlitz's performance, because he has absolutely killed it. I have not liked the whiny, all the women in my life have caused all the problems for me, kind of thing that he's fallen on.
Well, and then
once he took that beard off, that seemed to have stopped, though. I mean, he last week's with him and the Glorious Godfrey appearance, and now tonight's episode, at the time of this recording, tonight's episode was just, God.
How good did he look? I mean, but when he shaved that beard, I'm like, that's Lex Luthor.
Yeah. That scene, and we'll get there, but the scene between the two of them, if you've already listened to our exclusive interview with Jay Jameson, the writer and director of this episode, I told him, I said, I always hate to say this is the best thing, because it's not going to be to somebody else. When I say it's the best thing to me. I mean, that's it's my opinion. Sure. I'm not, it's not paramount to everybody else's opinion by any stretch of the imagination. But the goosebumps I got watching that Superman and Lex scene, and the only thing that scene missed was Superman floating outside the window before he came in. That was the only thing. Yeah. When Tyler looked down at his tie and smirked and said, "Nice tie," and walked up, and
what I loved so much was that he immediately took the tie off what Superman.
Yes.
Like he let him get to him, and I just
he played his game. He played his game right back at him.
Yeah, and I just wonder if Superman realizes how much he could get under Lex Luthor's skin if he would play that game. Not the game of we're going to try to kill you and bring violence upon your house and all this stuff, but just the game of I can drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I can drive you
My
crazy.
sheer existence drives you crazy. Me
Right.
standing basically in your living room right now, in your office.
Yeah.
And you know, I saw a lot of people last week that were like, oh, Lex has the heart. He's got Superman's heart inside him. And because that scene when they were prepping for the interview and everything was really getting on his nerves, like the OCD of it all, and he was out of control of the situation, I was like, do you people have media literacy at all? Like, no, that's not what was going on in the least. But that just goes to show how this Lex, the slightest thing off kilter for him is maddening.
Yeah.
And yes, Superman standing there in front of him, mocking him to his face.
Well, and then,
taunting him even.
Yeah, and then when he goes off on Mercy, what's her real name? It's not Mercy.
Amanda McCoy.
It's Amanda McCoy. When he goes off on her, the way he just blows up, it's like, this is a Luthor that's on the edge at all times, and he's really kind of gone over it. It's just that he's keeping the emotional side of the outburst in check, But the fact that he can get Superman to go to the place that Superman went to when he steps into his office, to me, is just a great characterization of that person. When back in 2000, when they did the whole Lex Luthor for president thing, and Luthor became the president in DC Comics, there was I think it was Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness maybe who did it, but like there was a whole scene of like, well, where's Superman? How's he handling this? And it just cuts to space, and he's just pounding the crap out of asteroids, because he's so infuriated that and Luthor can push him to that, that extent. And so Superman's challenge is always to not let Luthor mentally and emotionally get the best of him, and to turn that around. And that's what makes Luthor such a good foil for Superman at their peak, the way that it has been presented in this show. And I have nothing negative to say, really. I think the minute I saw Lex Luthor walking down that street, back in last season.
Oh, when he literally walked to Smallville?
Yeah, when he literally walked to Smallville, and they kind of show him, and I'm like, okay, this is a Luthor who... Now, I thought he'd grown the beard in prison, of course, but he was intimidating. He's scary. Yeah. He's not someone to be trifled with,
Oh, when he started screaming at them on the porch... on the Kent farm, and that was that the next to last or the finale? I can't remember. I think it was the finale. But I was now try and wrap your head around Brian Austin Green playing that, because we've talked about it on the show before. Bag was asked to audition for this version of Lex. Did you not know that?
I thought I told you that.
Yeah, he was asked to audition to send in video for this.
I love Brian.
Lex.
I do.
No, that's.
That would be Emmy worthy if Brian Austin Green pulled that. But
challenge him to a dance off. Challenge Superman to a dance off, and we'll see what happens.
So a wrap off.
Yeah.
So look, I guess we'll break it down a little bit piece by piece, but just overall, there's just this sense of dread in my throat that's like, they're going to make me watch him die again, and this time he's not going to come back. The finale is going to be like his boys stepping up and saving everyone, saving the day, and then, flash forward to the future. They're doing a great job of, being supermen, and, in his honors, he's gone. I don't know. Now, this is me speculating as to what's coming. I hope that's not the case. I hope that this show ends with...
Yeah, what do you want to see happen? Quo. That's a great. Go ahead. What do you want?
I want to. Listen. I like a happy ending. I want the status quo reestablished. I want the, this is a job for Superman kind of last moment, in time, because this show has done such a good job of letting it be about him and Lois, and not. I think a lot of writers and a lot of people would be so tempted to put the focus just on the boys and what they go through, and still call it a Superman. But this show has stayed true to its title. It has really been, the focus has been Superman and Lois. And anytime you think the family angst is going to get too ramped up or too crazy, they've always done almost a Brady type thing of just bringing it back down to earth. And that comes from Clark's upbringing. That comes from the way he was raised. We don't scream it out in this house. We talk it out and we work it out. And the boys respect him and they respect Lois. Lois can say, boys, go get something to eat. And they walk right out the door, boys, go to your room, and they're up there, like they do such a great job with that family dynamic that I don't want this to end with a funeral. I want it to end with hope. I want it to end with, even Lois looking at him saying, well, this is a job for Superman, and just that smile that he gives. And because he's been such a great Superman, I don't want to see it.
Everybody looks up.
Yep. There you go. Everyone looking up. I don't even think you have to look up, but just like a fly through Smallville and off into the distance, and then the end credit card or whatever the title card.
Well, let me ask you this, and we'll get into the episode here in a second, but just because it's been something so different, and you have talked about your love for this season, how did you feel about the reveal? Because you're like me, you don't like the reveal. You're not a fan of that.
What did I tell you? I've never so much fundamentally disagreed with something, but still love the execution of it. I thought it was handled, and I'm not blowing smoke. I got no skin in this game. Yeah. I'm not talking to J. Jonah Jameson on this thing. I'm not, I am here for this show, and I'm here to be honest about what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
And I fundamentally disagree with the idea of Clark's identity being revealed to the world. I don't like that
on a general level.
On a general level.
Right.
But the way it was handled in that one episode, and the way that episode was such a love letter to so many versions and so many things Superman, from the flashback to the first episode, which they've done a couple of times throughout the series, going back to his first appearance in Metropolis and that sort of thing, to even little things you pointed out that just kind of flew by my head, or I just registered and moved on. It was such a great love letter to the character and to everything that's come before that you couldn't hate it, and then him being nervous to sit down and do this, and the way that, but also the way that it seemed like the people of Smallville, for the most part, were going to rally around him and do their best to keep his secret. I loved,
well, and just treated him normal,
right?
Just absolutely, when he walked in, Vicky May's there at the end, and everybody's like, "Hey, Mr. Kent," and just that smile on his face, that warmness that he felt from his community rallying around him.
I don't know of a Superman property that I just have not liked. I don't know of anything that I've ever watched or taken in that's just like, there are things that I like better than others in certain things. But as far as just kind of the fact they bring him, this whole show opened with bringing him home to Smallville and getting to see him be Clark as much as we get to see him be Superman, and the confidence of him as Superman, and the comfort of him as Clark in Smallville it's just been a revelation, this whole series. I think it's been something that no one else has ever done really with him. You think of Lois and Clark, like anytime he was talking to his mom and dad, it was to try to figure out some issue or some problem, anytime we see him in Smallville, Smallville was just the development of him and him coming to grips with everything. So we never got to see him being comfortable at being Clark or comfortable being Superman, or confident being Superman. We got to culminate in the arrival of Superman. But here from the outset, we've seen someone who's just comfortable in Smallville as Clark.
20 years in the game.
Yep.
At this point.
And so immediately you kind of fell in love with him. Dude, from the moment he said, "My mother made it for me."
Yeah.
I mean, you just fall in love with this guy. And even as much as you liked him in Supergirl and the other, and the other Arrowverse stuff. And then I don't know, like I say, right now I'm feeling that same impending dread I felt the entire 2 hours of Guardians of the Galaxy, thinking we're going to see Rocket die. We're going to see Star-Lord die, I'm going to have to sit and watch someone die, and I'm tired of that, And so that's just where I'm at, and I'd rather see it end with some hope.
Going back to the reveal, we had share this. It's not a spoiler at all, but showrunners Todd Helbing and Brenton Fletcher came on the podcast last week to discuss the finale after I saw it, and they're going to be on our finale episode. And I flat out told them, I said, I don't like the reveal. I said, I am not a fan of the reveal, but you two, on paper, the reveal sucks to me, but you two managed to make this work. The execution of this. One thing I loved, and I don't know if you and I talked about this. I know we talked about it on the show. That scene when he comes when he's about to do the interview, and he doesn't put on the glasses, and he comes down the steps, and all the crew is, he's, hi, I'm Clark. Hi, Clark. Mm-hmm. That's all the actual crew from the show.
Oh wow, that's cool. Wow,
yeah, that's all. Neat. That's all their actual backstage people.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Which is just incredible to me, the way they've made this a family affair going into these final episodes here, and with this penultimate. I love this episode. We talked to, as I said, Jay Jameson, who wrote and directed. We talked to him last week, and you can already hear that interview up in your feeds now. Somebody who was with the show from the beginning, and then obviously with all the reductions, did not get to come back for season 4 in the writers' room as a staff writer, but worked it out to where he could write and direct this episode, which that was something huge we talked about. It was like, how do you feel about being gone for an entire season? And then, hey, you want to wrap things up for us in the next to last hour? That's a huge ask.
It was great, but listen, great job. Like I like working with the boys. I love the scene with him, like, see if you can hit me, try to land a punt.
Yeah.
But I can't think of the line, but he said, I learned this from someone. And
I've meant to go back and make a note of that. Something bulldozer. I cannot remember.
Yeah, like some kind of, and I assumed it was like some wrestler name or something.
It may have been. I cannot remember, in all honesty, and I feel bad I didn't check
like
that.
Some fictitious, I think we're supposed to take it as this is some wrestler or maybe someone he fought one time or something, and but I love that bit because, my dad used to do crap like that to us all the time. Like, can you basically saying, can you take me? And then he'd get us and he'd just hold us in this weird position. You're like, just uncle, and
say
and
Superman.
So I love that kind of stuff, that was going down. I love the purple, the fact that everyone's cheering them, and they go in, they've got a sandwich named after.
So yes, the fry box. I mean, we talked about it a lot in the interview. You can go listen to that, but I just want to say, I want to say I was so pleased. It's been such a dark season. I mean, you can literally look at Superman's suit and see how dark it is. I mean, they've almost given him a black suit to reflect, the regeneration suit and all that kind of stuff, but not really, but in tone. But there was so much humor in this episode that I just was so pleased with going into whatever happens is going to be an emotional series finale. It's going to be emotional for cast, crew, and fans because thank goodness they got to wrap up. We didn't end with Superman and Doomsday Rocky 3 freeze frame on the moon, right? Which is where it could have been left.
That's true.
So thank goodness for that. Obviously, things had to be removed in order to continue that. We lost cast members, or that they were back in a restricted capacity, and they've all gotten their moments back in the sun throughout the season, peppered in, and we've had to say goodbye to some. We've had to say goodbye to Sam. We've seen Lois go through the, as you said, trauma this season. I mean, she had to say goodbye to her husband, say goodbye to her father within a 2-week span, and I mean, literally, her. I've said, it's always Lex Luthor is Superman's arch nemesis, but really, this season has been Lex Luthor has been Lois Lane's arch enemy.
Well, nemesis. I think so. I think you're absolutely right in a lot of ways with that, and I think that the thing is, it's like Lois is rightfully consumed with trying to bring down Lex. everything that came out about, that she got it wrong would send him to prison,
Yeah.
based on the fault, and so I think there's a part of her that's like, we got to get it right. She knows he's evil. He's also come after her family. He killed her father, and I think that her obsession hasn't blinded her. It's just put her back on that Lois Lane track that we all know, to the point that she's sitting down with Bruno Mannheim.
Oh,
and what a scene, and that dude, what a performance from him, to where
Chad Coleman is incredible. And I was so glad to see him come back.
I just love the fact that he's not threatening her.
No.
He's not coming at her. You get the sense that he doesn't like her, but he knows what Pia meant to her and what she meant to Pia, and just the respect that's shown, and then the desire to bring Luthor down.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought, like, that scene, the Superman and Lex scene, were two of just the best things in this episode.
I think she had the line maybe of the season delivery in this one, and that was the, Bruno's getting more and more fed up with her. One thing, we finally get to see Lois do some actual journalism this season, some actual investigative reporting, as she's trying to find a way to get Lex, and it's something that's been on the back burner the whole season because, again, trauma. She's had everything thrown at her.
Well, sure.
She's had everything thrown at her this entire series. Let's be honest. Right. Lois has had hit after hit after hit. They have really decked it to her time and time again. Kudos to Bitsy, who has just delivered a powerhouse performance every time.
Yeah.
But she, Bruno says, what do you expect me to do? What do you want me to do? And she says, you sent Luthor to prison for 17 years for a lie.
Yep.
Help me put him away for life for the truth.
With the truth.
I was like, oh, that's such a good Lois Lane line.
That was a great line.
That's such a good line.
And then it's only Lois could get McCoy to plant that seed of doubt in McCoy's mind.
Yeah.
About Lex, so that when something happens, she immediately jumps like, oh, this is what you've done. This is a pattern. This is how you act, like she basically regurgitates what Lois had said to her about a pattern and about all this other stuff, and that's what causes him to snap on her. And it's just, meanwhile, you got Milton as Luthor's man in the chair.
Man in the chair, yeah.
I mean, that's Brainiac, right?
I mean, it's obviously from the comics. Milton Fine is somebody who was, well, depends on your Dr. Pepper flavor of what you subscribe to with Brainiac. But in this instance, obviously, he is playing the Milton Fine version. Who in the comics, Milton Fine is someone who was possessed, I guess is the best turn of phrase, by Brainiac. The kind of Dwight Schrute version in this one a little bit, more or less.
That is a great comparison.
It's a little bit. Absolutely. And that's not a knock to the actor or anything like that at all. I think he's done an incredible performance. But I do think I do think it's been kind of, everybody's like, oh, because it was like the first or second episode we heard Brainiac, we heard the name drop, and we were like, do we have time for this? We only have 10 episodes. We've got Doomsday and Luthor. Do we have time for a Brainiac?
We don't.
So I have thought, as we've gotten into episode 8 and now 9, I've been like, oh, I think he's just Milton Fine. I think they were doing the Superman and Lois thing where you think it's one thing and it's actually, you think this is Lex Luthor, but it's actually John Henry Irons. You think it's Doomsday, but it's actually Bizarro. What they've kind of the pull the rug out from under you thing that they've done very well throughout this series. One thing I do love, though, is for all her work, the legal pad sitting there going through everything, all these people, they've died, he killed them, they're gone, they left, they don't want anything to do with Luthor. What it came down to was some relationship drama.
It's like somebody watched Smallville.
It came down to some sordid past lover affair that really in the end got his goat, and finally made Amanda open her eyes, Which, thank God for that. I was getting sick. I was like, at this point, Amanda, whatever happens to you happens. I'm tired of you. You have.
Well, I'm never a big fan of cold hard, cold hard, cold hard. Oh, I admit my feelings, and now I'm just a sucker.
Yeah.
You're giving me this much stock, like
Yeah.
it was a weird character shift that's brought about by, okay, I'm finally putting my feelings out in the open, and you're reciprocating, and it's like, I mean, that didn't come out of the blue, with her. I don't think that came out of the blue, but
No.
her after they have their moment, she and Lex, her character has changed a little bit. She softens and becomes more able to be manipulated by him.
Yeah.
And I'm never a big fan of that, though, it worked. Obviously it works in the favor this go around, but I think what's interesting is you could have played it either way, where Lois or Clark got in his head and said, well, you realize she's controlling you.
Right.
And pitted them against each other easily, because that's the one thing I thought they might be going in that direction, because she was kind of really pulling the strings, and he was listening to her a little bit more than what you would expect Lex to do.
Yeah.
But, listen, the minute he tells his daughter he can't, a few episodes ago, that he can't let go of this whole Lois thing for her, I'm like, oh, so it's on. This guy's, there's no one's going to reason with him or get to his heart. He's done.
She's the one person that could have.
Right.
And if that can't happen now with a grandchild on the way.
Right. So he's absolutely, his heart is a burn up, crusty little thing now.
Yeah.
And so no amount of feelings that he professed were going to go anywhere, I guess. But at the same time, I mean, he did a good job of making it seem like it for a minute, because I really did think, well, she's really pulling his strings.
Yeah.
But ultimately he's just using her. And again, I mean, that's before. Lex Luthor.
Yeah. To a T. To a perfect T. We talked about the diner scene, and obviously the newfound fame with the boys, which was a great scene. Again, the humor in this one was top notch. Lois has a T named after. I mean, they've kind of rethemed Superman. There's Superman merch in the diner now.
I love the Superman merch, and I do love that.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like, of course, if you're the home of Superman. And my thing is, I guarantee as you walk around Smallville, there's probably other little shops that are like, oh yeah, we've got some T-shirts here.
Absolutely.
We're starting to put some stuff up.
Yeah. I'm from Elvis's hometown. I know how this works.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
I know.
sir.
I know exactly how this works.
Back in I think 2017, just before the season 2 premiere of Stranger Things, I had a guy come to town, a couple of guys come to town, and we went to some filming locations.
Yeah.
Went to the school, went to some different places, went to the neighborhoods where some things were shot. But we went to the town that is the stand-in for downtown Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the drugstore was still open and everything. And in there, they've got a whole shelf full of Stranger Things t-shirts. I mean, like, it's Stranger Things merch as you walk in the door, and it's like, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? And everyone's ready to talk to you and tell you, oh yeah, they had this whole place decorated, done up like this.
Stores that have been open for 30 years, mom and pop places that, yeah. Well, it's almost blinking if you miss it, because they kind of pan the restaurant, the diner, but there's Superman t-shirts, there's hats, there's bobbleheads. Mm-hmm. There's action figures. I would love one of these action figures, because I don't know what they actually are. I have pored over this shot. If you know me, you know I have a lot of Superman action figures, and I have poured through this trying to figure out what, because he's got his hands on his hips and everything, and I'm like, what is that figure? Is it something they did custom? But there's 4 or 5 of them there on the pastry. I guess the pastry.
I figured some of them were just prop stuff.
I would assume so, but I don't recognize this thing. But hats, shirts, they've got I Love Superman mugs. One thing I do love, though, and it kind of gives credence to what's about to happen. On the wall, they have, you go to a restaurant to get a kids menu, and it's like a coloring activity sheet, and they've got a bunch of them taped up on the wall, on the back wall of the diner. And then, of course, we then find out that Jordan's menu item is on the kids menu. He's like, does she not know that we're the same age? Does she?
And I love that it's bumming him out.
It is. Well, what's fantastic is they didn't tell Alex that they created the fry box.
Right.
So
that was his first time.
That was his react. They took the first take. So when Vicky comes out and sets the food out, and that's his actual.
That's great.
Reaction to the fry box. But they're obviously having a really hard time, getting used to all of this. And I mean, there's, the whole time they're doing this, there's a crowd of people outside watching them. Meanwhile, other people are just trying to eat at Vicky makes.
Right. Yeah. And what I love is the people inside that are eating are just acting totally normal.
Yeah.
Like there's a crowd of people cheering out there,
It's just another day in Smallville.
And I did like the moment where Clark's like, let's give them what they want.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they're gathered. Let's give the people what they want.
Yeah.
The scene between Clark and Lois at the Gazette, when Lois is like, I've hit a wall. I can't find a way. And this is obviously before she realizes to go to Bruno, but to go to Stryker's and visit Bruno. But she's really struggling. She's like, this Gretchen lady's probably dead, per Amanda. Mm-hmm. Amanda and Lex seem pretty tight, seemingly, and there doesn't really seem to be a way to connect him to anything. I mean, he's done a pretty good job. I still maintain that a bunch of DOD officers saw Lex Luthor give the order to Doomsday to kill Sam Lane, but, I guess that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But I thought that's what happened, but, we can't get him on anything. He's pretty ironclad, and we saw that with the Godfrey interview. I mean, obviously that was a setup. That was a trap for Lois with all that footage, especially of Clark whooping his ass on Main Street, which I know you were a fan of that scene. I you texted me as soon as those red lights came on.
Yeah, I love that scene so much. And it gave me, it gave me vibes of not the intensity of it. The intensity was so much better, but just it gave me vibes of the moment when in the Crisis on Infinite Earths that they did with John Cryer's Lex Luthor and everything, when they go to Smallville. They go to the Smallville universe, and Cryer goes to attack him, and he punches him. Welling punches him in the face, and he's like, "Still stronger than you."
Stronger.
It just gave me vibes of that like the unpowered Clark going after Lex and them getting to slug it out. Has to be a dream come for the characters. Has to kind of in some ways be a dream come true for both of them.
Sure, absolutely.
That I'm not having you some rock here to hold it. Between me and this alien. That I'm able to put my bare hands on him and bust his face wide open, and then vice versa, of course, for Clark, that he didn't, because of the red sun rays, he didn't have to hold back. He could just give it his all,
My only issue with that whole fight scene was he killed him. I mean, effectively, Lex killed Superman.
Right.
He killed Sam. He's gone after the boys. He's gone after Lois. But the thing that finally, the hair that finally broke was threatening Lana. That was the thing that finally made him go fight him in the street. I was like, come on. He's been an ass to your wife the whole season. Why are we?
Do you think that was just like a straw that broke the camel?
Yeah, it definitely was. And I mean, obviously, Lana and Sarah were both in the house, and Otis was gonna kill both of them.
Right.
So I mean, that's obviously a huge thing. But I'm just like, I
guess it's one thing to live under the threat. It's another thing to know that this guy intentionally sent someone to brutally murder.
Yeah.
A friend, and it's just like, all right, at this point, I'm done.
Yeah.
You've done all this crap, and and it really is kind of Superman. Like I'm through being the bigger person.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget he tried to reason with him.
He did. Father to parent, father to father. He tried to talk to him, And then he got it. Then Lex got under his skin, and that happened. And then, but now Superman's playing it right back to him the same way in this this scene in this episode with him going to his penthouse and facing off.
Listen, I think one of the coolest moments is nice tie.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I said,
and then Luthor just taking it off when Superman's
just ripping it off
angrily. Yeah.
Like I said, the only thing that scene missed was him, bobbing outside the window before coming in. Like that would have sent that over the moon for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's absolutely a scene I love in the Lois and Clark pilot is when, he's outside John Shea's balcony.
And all you have to do is look up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the games begin, all that.
The Milton thing of, well, let's get as far away from there as we can then, And so when he's watching, he's like, so you're coming back now. He's like, no, I want to see him die this time. Yeah. And it's just like, I want to see you die, Lex Luthor.
That scene where Lois and Clark are in the Gazette talking, and Lois is talking about how she's hit a wall, and Clark is talking about how Luthor's coming, and I need to ready the boys. And then he comes back to the Gazette later, and he's like, "I've failed." Like they really, the juxtaposition of these two scenes is Lois saying she's not giving up, but she's like, "I don't know what else to do," and coming to him for help. And he's the one that kind of guides her and is like, "What's chapter 7 of your master class? Like what?" Go back to which I loved, which I absolutely loved. Go back to the beginning. If you hit a wall, go back to the beginning. And later, him coming back after trying to train the boys and realizing they're never going to be as strong as he is, or as he was rather, as Superman. So, after talking to his mother and which was a fantastic scene.
Yep.
And I put a pin in that and come back to it, but I want to reiterate something you said a minute ago is they've kept this so much Superman Lois. This show works the best when they let Tyler and Bitsy do what they do.
Yeah.
When they remove them from each other for too long, or when they have got them interacting with other characters for too long and not working together, it doesn't fire on the same cylinders that it does, because these two have immaculate chemistry together.
Yep. Yep.
They have been a phenomenal Superman and Lois, and that is everybody has had their part to play. The boys have been great. This Lex has been great. The villains we've had, the Lana and Kyle and all these ancillary characters we've had. But the two of them are what I'm going to miss the most. And, I know we're mere months away from another iteration of Superman and Lois casting coming that we're going to have to, wrap our heads around new people donning these characters, which looks to be, if all goes well, for a long time to come in many forms. They're going to be doing them in voicing them in animation and video games and stuff like that. So it is really bittersweet to say goodbye to these two versions, because they have just done such a good job playing off one another. And these two scenes really drive that home, because the same way that Clark pushes Lois when she's like, I don't know what else to do. Where else do I go from here? I'm stuck. And he drives her when he comes back pretty much the same way. And he's like, I don't know what to do. The boys are not ever going to be strong enough. I'm getting weaker every day, and Lex is coming at any minute. And she's like, you need to find, you need to not listen to Jor-El. Like we've heard, 1,000 times before. He said we wouldn't be able to have kids. Look what, look at this. You need to find a way that does work. Quit worrying about the ways that aren't working, and find a way that does work for the boys. And, that scene with Laura was great. I know, I think Tim had said this earlier, and I want to back up what he said, because so much in live action and in animation and stuff too, but so much in non-comic form Superman, we get Jor-El.
Yeah.
And they took him off the board early on in this show, where I guess about halfway through the show, and gave us Laura. Yeah. And it's been really refreshing to watch these two interact with each other, especially in a Fortress of Solitude that I love. I love this fortress that they've constructed of the water.
I guess we got a little bit of Laura in Smallville.
Yeah, and I like Superman 2, in the Richard Lester.
I think some of the most conversation we got Fortress-wise was Superman 2, when, and and to me, that always made sense as a, grown up, because mom's going to deal with the love life.
Right.
Dad's more concerned with the mission and everything else. Mom's going to deal with the more gentle side. Now, I love what the Donner Cut does when he gets his powers back. I do like that interaction with Jor-El, because that whole the father becomes the son and the son the father thing comes back around. But that's a tangent. I absolutely agree with you. Like just the quiet moments on the porch with a glass of wine between those two throughout this series.
Right.
Like they've done so well, and I think that's one of the things that made last season such a gut punch. I told you this off air, obviously, when we talked about it. I said, the first season, you've got you got dude who is a Kryptonian, and he's trying to basically end the world and turn it to Krypton and all this other mess. Then the next season, you got a whole other universe that's going to encroach on this universe, and so there are these huge world-ending, scenarios in the first two seasons. It's like, well, where do you go from there? Well, we give Lois cancer.
Yeah.
And we watch them have to deal with that. And, and meanwhile, there's other stuff brewing in the background. But like the thrust of that third season was them dealing, and the big gut punch was is he didn't know how to deal with it.
I can't save you. I can save everybody,
right.
But I can't save you.
Yeah. And he's trying to be happy, and he's trying to be positive, and that's not what she needs. And then when he's actually confronted with being there for the chemo and everything, like he's not there because he just can't be there, and it's like, and so as you see those two at odds, like you feel it, because they do have such good chemistry, and you want them to be in sync. And so when you get them in sync, and they, as they've been really most of this season, once he came back to life, when you get them in sync, and you don't have the stupid stuff of I'm keeping this secret and I'm keeping that secret, you have just the honesty between them, like a good couple does and like a strong marriage does. They're on the same page with the boys. They're on the same page with Lex. And like you say, he goes to her, and she's like, what do they know? They're wrong about all this stuff, and it just pumps him up to go train the boys to work together.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I noticed, in their fight in the fortress, is that like it seemed like they never worked together against that suit.
Yeah, it was one or the other.
Yeah. And so, and I thought, well, that's a neat thing. He's going to get them to learn how to work together. And and unfortunately we didn't get a lot of that. We got the one scene, but you hope something will click here in the next. It's got to, or I'm going to be a really unhappy guy.
Things are brewing where you would think they're going to have to listen to their father on that one a little bit.
I did like his vanity. I like the fact that when he realized he was getting gray hairs, he didn't like it. I did like several episodes. And again, I know this goes back several episodes ago. I've not said that publicly, but I thought that was just such a funny bit that, like, he's having to struggle with, what do I do with the fact that I've got some gray coming in? And like, she calls him out for like coloring his hair, and he's like, it's just a little bit,
Well, I really liked on a deeper level. It was funny, but I also liked how Lois's body changed in season 3, and obviously physically she changed and saw herself differently, and now him coming back and him also having a very similar scar on his chest that won't heal, and that kind of thing. Speaking of that, I thought it was interesting, and unless I just forgot something, and that may be the case because I watched so many of these in such quick order leading up to recordings and everything to get through the season, because that was my problem. It was like, okay, here's the screeners, and I was like, I'm going to watch them all. Like, you can't give me cheese and then be like, no, you have to wait. If you're gonna hang it out in front of me, I'm gonna devour it. So it's been hard, because knowing what's coming and wrapping my head around some of what's happening in the now, and I completely forgot where I was going with this tangent when I started it. I had a really good point to make, but now I've
keeping things
lost it.
In order and what's going on, because you've watched.
I completely lost where I was going with that. Dang it! I'm sure I'll find it again. I don't like getting old, Steve. I'll tell you that. But the getting old. That's exactly what it was. Thank you, Steve. You made me come back to it. The scar on the chest. So Milton says he's talking about the upgrades to the suit, which I love Milton's setup. purple, green, Brainiac, wires, cables going everywhere, extension of the monitors, like it's different heads, that kind of thing. And he's talking about, okay, well, there's kryptonite, and there's this, and then, we've enhanced this, and there's kryptonite screws, by the way, which sound great. And he's like, and Lex is like, kryptonite screws? He's like, yeah, to explode that old man's heart of his. I don't know when they ever figured out that he had Sam's heart. I don't know where that ever came into play.
Yeah.
Because when they were standing in the street facing off, not the fight scene, but when Clark was trying to reason with him, when he came down in front of the truck, and he was like, I know how you're back, some alien technology or something like that. I can't remember how if it ever actually came to light that Sam's heart was in his body or not. But regardless, the whole Milton of it all, prepping the suit, we do get a throwback to the pilot. Because he does ask, did you ever serve in the military? He's like, no. He's like, there's a file in here about a Captain Luthor. In the memory banks of the suit. And that's another thing. After stealing the suit, Lex leaked it to Godfrey.
Is that how I figured that's how they found it, because all of the stuff that.
Oh, the Doomsday. You're right. That's exactly how they did it. They just never said that. But because now they've got all these files from the DOD, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. They've got those videos of Lois debriefing about facing off against Doomsday. You're exactly right. I kept my tinfoil hat on and didn't take it off for that one.
That's fine.
But the suit itself. Yes, the Captain Luthor reference from the pilot, obviously, that's who we thought John Henry was going to be originally, the Stranger, way back in season 1, when the reveal at the end of the pilot that the AI referred to him as Captain Luthor. So that was a nice little full circle moment for that. But yes, the Doomsday stuff, and we do finally get to call him Doomsday. There's been like some little Doomsday jokes made a couple times this season, but now he's got an official title. And they realize he's been in Smallville this whole time after he left, that he's literally burrowing his way trying to get back to his Earth.
Trying to get home, which is gone, right? That Earth.
No, he separated them.
Okay, so that Earth didn't get destroyed.
No, that Earth didn't get destroyed. All those people were fine.
Okay.
Allie got locked up, and because Tal Rose over there. He was like, I like it better here.
That's right, because he had a family and everything.
Yeah, because he was married to Lana.
Let's send that guy back. Let's send Doomsday. Let's just send Doomsday back.
Let's just send him home. Just go home, you stupid ball. Go home.
Get out of here. Go. We don't love you.
Yeah, it's Harry and the Hendersons. They full on Harry and the Hendersons Doomsday. Steve and I have cracked it. That's exactly what should have happened.
They should do that.
We don't want you.
We don't. I'm going to white fang him. I have been. We started rewatching New Girl the other day.
I love New Girl.
And Nick, of course, is my spirit animal. Has been for a long time. And Haley realizes that as she's watching, she's like, "My gosh, you're just like this guy." But when he says, "I'm going to white finger," get on. I don't love you anyway.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you white fingering me?
White fingering?
How do you know that? Because it's the only book you have."
It's so good. I feel like we've covered so much of this. It's been a good conversation. Thank you for that. I really
listen. You know me. I love Superman.
Yeah, and I love you. So
I forgot how warm you are.
So it makes for a good conversation.
Well, look, like I say, I'm really worried that all this good feelings I've had about this show are going to be ruined.
Well, all right. Well, hold on. So let's say this. So obviously, what happens here is Lois and Lex face off in the street, and she's like, "Clark told you never to come back here again." He's like, "Oh, I'm leaving. Don't you worry, I'm leaving. Goodbye, Lois." And not ominous at all, in the least. And that's when Amanda confronts Lex about everything and realizes that she's been played. And Milton sends the suit for him. He backs into the suit. Fantastic shot of him backing into the suit and taking off.
Thank you, Tony Stark, for teaching everyone how to do that well.
Absolutely. Thank you for not being nanotech, by the way, too.
That's right. Oh, God, I hate nanotech.
Lex flies off to the mines to find Doomsday.
I said it, by the way, everybody.
Okay.
I said it.
Lex flies off to the mines to find Doomsday, and he's like, hey, big fella.
Yeah.
Sun's getting real low.
Hey, buddy.
Can I kill you one more time?
Why don't you bring that muscly arm over here?
Paper boy. And obviously, he does this whole parallel. He's like, you and I are the same. It's like we've been born from hatred and all this stuff.
He does the Colonel Parker thing from that Elvis movie. Yes. We're the same.
Yeah. And Cudlitz looks so good in that suit, by the way. I don't guess it's too much of a... Well, you see it in this one, you do, so it's not a spoiler. Obviously, the suit's not purple and green, but the HUD display is.
Right, the HUD's... Yeah, I love that.
So that's good. I liked that as well. That's the good power suit moment. So Lex kills Doomsday one last time. And we now have Doomsday. We have the proper...
He's still got that S on his chest.
He's still got the backwards S, which I kind of thought, I was like, okay, he's gonna take final form here, and that's and the bone protrusions will wrap around that or something. He's still got it. I don't mind. It's fine. But now he is unleashed, and there's no humanity left in him whatsoever. Lois can't.
It seems that way.
Yeah, seemingly. Yeah. Lois can't reason with him. And he's going to tear up the town. He's just going to do what Doomsday does best and tear stuff up.
Yeah, the Jordan and Jonathan get their saves in. I love the moment he gets with Miss May.
That scene, one argument I have had, or complaint, I guess you would say, throughout this series has been we kind of just ditched the whole Jordan has really bad anxiety and and episodes and all that. Like we've kind of made mention to it, but not really. We've not really delved back into that. The two-way, and it goes back to the way Clark was like, you two work best together. Like you have your own sets of traits that make you heroes in different ways. Working together is the best way to do it. And we see that. Jonathan catches a truck. Yeah. And, not that Jordan can't, but Jonathan's also not the one that's going to sit there with Victoria May and freeze a cup and let her work through a panic attack, an anxiety attack while this fight's happening around them. I adored that scene so much. And Alex did a phenomenal job with that.
And I'm like you, I really appreciated the juxtaposition between those two and the way they take care of business, the way they TCB in a flash, because they, like you say, there's the compassion. Not that Jonathan's not compassionate.
No,
but there's the compassionate. There's one person here. They both get it. It's Superman in both of them.
Yeah,
the one, Superman who's going to take time with the little boy he just saved and be like, nice cap, and he's like, cool suit, thanks. My mom made it for me.
Yeah,
that's Jordan sitting there with Miss May helping her get through that panic attack. Obviously bigger deal than my mom made it for me, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And then to cover her up when he hears them coming toward the diner, there's still that protection. To the heroic of, I'm catching the car, turn around, you okay? Get to safety, and then back to action.
Yeah.
Both of those things embody Superman and who he is, and you see that come out in his boys in this moment. And I thought, it's a great look. If we're going to have to pass the torch to these boys, wonderful. I mean, I think they've really come into their own in a lot of good ways. And even the recasting of Jonathan took me a minute. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I got through that. By the end of the last season, and so he's Jonathan.
Yeah. So. He is, and I'm so glad Michael has done so well with that, and I'm so glad he got his powers this season and has been able to play off that. So then obviously we come down to the wire here, and with the saves happening, Doomsday is just too powerful. He's too much, and we see that all over Clark's face, quite literally, all over Clark's face. He is bloodied and beaten.
When he looks at the family, he knows.
Trying to push himself up off the ground.
Yeah.
Which is always a thing to me. It's like, if Superman got knocked down, would he not just float up? Float up and stand up? But he can't physically, he's literally having to.
Didn't he do that at one point in the in the finale of last season, or in the opening? Maybe it was on the moon.
Maybe I know.
But I remember
Cavill did it in Man of Steel. I think about.
I know
that
Cavill
moment.
did it in Man of Steel, but I remember seeing something like that, and it gave me Cavill vibes.
Oh, I think they do it on the moon. I think it did happen. Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's physically. I mean, he cannot push himself up off the ground.
Right. Yeah.
And Lois is crying, and the boys whoosh in and next to him, and he's, I love you. I always
boom
bus.
Ugh. Listen, that's my favorite.
That is your favorite trope.
My favorite trope when someone gets hit by a bus out of nowhere, but not when it's Doomsday killing Superman. I'm not a fan of that. I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. That I go back to the point I made at the outset. I don't need to see it again. I don't think Superman is only inspiring when he's dead. I think this show has shown that again and again, and so I go into next week with anticipation and much trepidation.
It's hard because when you tell me you want to do the death of Superman, and again, you were talking about how, they did it in 16, 17, whenever Dawn of Justice was. And now we've seen, I feel like we've seen Doomsday after Doomsday after Doomsday recently. I mean, it was Smallville, and then Dawn of Justice. We had Krypton, which I think is still one of the most phenomenal jobs they've ever done with Doomsday on screen. Mm-hmm. This has been really good, but obviously it's a little different with it being Bizarro being killed to become this monster.
It's a neat origin.
It is. And it's also kind of funny because we all thought it was going to be Doomsday at the beginning of season 2 coming out of the mines, and it ended up being Bizarro.
Right.
And then, it ended up turning Bizarro into Doomsday when all was said and done. It's I was a Superman fan before the death of Superman, but we've talked about this on Shoe. I don't need to go to the well with it again, but I remember that day. I remember the day 75 hit. Like I skipped school and went, to go get my copy. And I was, good Lord, man, that was, what a time to be alive that was. It was all over the news. It was in our newspapers. Like, it was a huge deal. They were killing the Man of Steel. So when you tell me you're going to do that on a reduced TV budget, I'm like,
must we?
Because they kind of pigeonholed themselves with Doomsday at the end of season 3. Like, what? All you can really do is the death of Superman, and then the writer's strike happens, and then obviously the DC, James Gunn's DCU and everything. And it's like, this show could have run 6-7 seasons.
Yeah,
and. Okay, well, we have 10 episodes. We don't have the full cast. We have slashed the budget, and we've got to do the death of Superman. So I'm super, not well going into this season. Like, how are they going to handle this? And are we doing it to knock Clark off the board, to where there's one less person we're paying their salary? Is it like how best?
Well, we're going to do one episode that's all at the barn. It's going to be the wedding episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kudos to them. They've. And this is something I told Todd and Brent in our finale episode, which will air the night of the finale. The show doesn't look any different.
No.
The feel is a little different because of how they've had to do things differently with the flashbacks and the reduced cast, but cinematically, effects-wise, shooting-wise, everything, it looks like our show. From the outset of this show has been like a movie every week. Yes.
And it's the same. I mean, it hasn't lost that quality.
No. And they did not step on that at all in this final season. And I think that was something behind the scenes, that had to be paramount. They were like, we can't phone it in now.
Right.
We're going to have to find every clever way we can to where we can make it look like that. And obviously, excuse me, obviously this has been no different.
Well, they don't have that CBS money.
They do not have that CBS money. You are correct about that.
Yeah.
Insert, CSI theme here. That's an old school Stephen Derrick.
Thank you. I'm glad I could bring that back for everyone that doesn't know what in the world we're talking
As we
about.
conclude, the CW DC universe here.
Yeah.
So, it's still so wild to me. Smallville started it and Superman and Lois ends it.
Yeah.
Now 20 plus years later. 1 hour to go. Emotions are high. Everybody's got their opinions. I've read a ton. I was not fully prepared, and that's all I'll really say. I was not fully prepared for what I had in my head, kind of what I thought would happen. Best case and worst case scenario, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think
the thing is you are set up, and I'm playing right into the hands of any writer I know, because my fear level.
Oh yeah,
is at a high. I get that, and I also, as I was watching it, and really, I can tell you the moment it crossed my mind when you're in the HUD on Luthor's face. And he says, I want to watch him die.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the stuff that great superhero stories are made of.
Yeah.
When all hope is lost and there's no way out. And somehow, someone finds a way.
Yeah.
Either through...
Well, that's Superman. There's always a way.
Right. Either through action and fighting and toughing out, or through a moment where they break through to the monster and make the connection, and he gives his heart away. Whatever the case may, I don't know. I've got all these things that could happen, these scenarios that I wish I knew. I could tell myself it's going to be okay, but it's just a TV show, but it's not, all that kind of stuff. So,
well, it's weird. We had 10 years to prepare for the end of Smallville. And,
right. Yeah.
That was an emotional night. We were together, you and I.
Yep.
And don't you turn on that lamp.
Mm-mm.
And that was the first thing you asked me the other day. And I said, well, I finished it.
Yeah.
I said, I'm done. And I watched the last 2 hours. And I think you said, is it going to be a don't turn on that lamp situation? I was like, I can't tell you one way or the other what's coming. I can't tell you how many light bulbs you're going to need, how many lampshades you're going to need.
Right, yeah.
It's an emotional hour, and but even if it was the never-ending battle, best possible outcome this looks like for a job for Superman, that's an emotional hour. If it's what you're afraid of, that's an emotional hour. So it's emotional, runs the gamut. It's emotional across the board. And it's emotional because we've grown to love these versions of these characters, and again that goes back to Tyler and Bitsy. What I want to see. And I'm not saying this is what's happening or this is not what's happening. What I want is when you tell me you're wrapping up this show early and limit in a limited capacity from what we could have had.
Right.
I just want it to focus on the four of them. Yeah. I want it to be about the Kents.
For sure.
And at the end of the day, I want it to be about Clark and Lois. And I think that's what I have wanted all along, and because the four of them is what makes this show work. Yeah. And their relationship, their love for one another. They've done such a good job playing these roles as parents to these twins. The boys have come into their own, obviously. Alex and Michael and Alex and Jordan previously, but to see Jonathan and Jordan. Watching them have grown through these 4 years to where they were, these kind of whiny high school kids that didn't want to be uprooted from their metropolis lifestyle and leave the football team and go to the middle of nowhere Smallville, and they've really done an amazing job. So that's, if you tell me it's going to be the end, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
So We'll see if that's the case.
Well, we sure will. I want to say this before you wrap up, because I don't, I haven't been on this show at all, and
No, you have.
I've been. I mean, the one time years ago.
Yeah.
Podcasting about this kind of stuff for 17 years now, and being a part of the Starkville House of Elwood, Smallville, and everything. Superman has always been right up there as number one, superhero for me. I've never been a Batman guy. I like Batman, but never been a Batman guy. Hulk's number 2, but Superman has always edged out as being number 1. And when this show started, my concern was that the Superman of it all was going to take a back seat to the boys. And even the Lois was going to take a back seat to the boys. I really thought this was going to be a vehicle for the sons to step up and be the focus and be everything. And I was so pleasantly surprised from the outset of the first season of seeing that that the focus truly is what the title was, Superman and Lois. And as we've said throughout this whole episode, that focus has maintained.
Yeah.
The boys have been great. I think they've been handled incredibly well. When you consider the story arc of Jonathan being the popular kid who suddenly takes a back seat to Jordan, who has all the anxiety issues and everything else he's got going on, and to see how important the father-son relationship is and the mother-son relationship is, but then to see how important the Clark-Lois relationship is. And so when things get their darkest, I'm like you. I want to see this family pull together, and I want it to be about them. And that is one thing I am confident of, that based on the way the series has gone, I don't doubt that it's going to, the focus will be on them when it's all said and done. And I think this show has been better than I thought it had any right to be. I had no expectations for it going in. In fact, I had low expectations for it. And from the outset, absolutely blew my expectations out of the water, and just has been a treat to watch this and be a fan of good Superman.
It's a little emotional. I guess it really hadn't set in, but to hear you talk about it, I'm like, I've been podcasting about Superman on TV for 20 years.
Yeah.
And there probably isn't going to be another one of those for a long time now.
I can't imagine. I guess we'll
we were
just
lucky
go back
to get this.
I say let's go back. Let's do The Adventures of Superman, starring George Reeves.
Super Pup, Lois and Clark.
Well, we don't have to do Super Pup, but then let's do that Filmation. Let's do the Filmation stuff. Let's do the Super Friends.
We'll do it live.
Ruby Spears animated series.
Oh man,
let's do it all.
I would love to introduce you to some Superboy, because I know that's kind of a blind spot for you.
That's true. Got to do this. I've got season 1 on DVD, I never.
That was my bread.
I don't even
know
that I ever watched the first season all the way through.
That was my bread and butter coming home after school.
Yeah,
was Superboy. That really, I loved that. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad we got to do this together. Tell the folks.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Yeah, I love it.
Tell the folks where they can find you.
You'll never find me. Podcast is Geek Out Loud. You can find it at wherever you get podcasts. Just look for Geek Out Loud. Don't accept any substitutes. Don't accept Geeking Out Loud or Out Loud Geek or any of that crap. It's Geek Out Loud.
There's knockoffs.
Yeah, there are knockoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm the original, and you will know me by my sporadic posting.
It's one thing you can trust from Steve and Derek is sporadic posting. Meanwhile, for us, you can find us online, supermantvtalk.com. We've had some people ask, what will this show look like after next week? And I don't know.
But I just laid it out for you.
I just told you.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
It still exists. So that's all we'll say about that for now. But online, we are Superman
Robin
TV.
Can move out of the way. I've got some stuff to say about those black and white episodes. He left those people on a mountain because they found out who he was.
At Superman TV Talk on the Twitter. We are on Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram and TikTok at Smallville Podcast. And we would love to hear from you, and appreciate Robin and Frank for taking 8 on. I appreciate Tim, our social media producer, for live tweeting all the episodes this season and all the stuff he's done. And It's taken a village to get through the 4 seasons of this show out for you guys, but it is bittersweet. We are here at the end, and I can't believe it's almost over. And then I think about it, and I'm like, I can't believe it's almost over. And then, like I said, I can't believe we're about to turn around and have another. Finally, we're eating good as Superman fans. Finally, we're feasting. Yeah. We know what Batman fans feel like now, and that's something that's never happened before. Between this season of this series, My Adventures with Superman being just a fantastic, again, a show that has no right to be as good as it has been. I am not a fan of anime at all, and nothing against it. It's just not my cup of tea, animation-wise. And so I've sat down and watched this, and I have adored that show.
Really?
They've done some great stuff over there.
I haven't checked that out.
I think you should. You would be pleasantly surprised at some things they've pulled out.
After that Harley Quinn stuff they tried to pull on that particular show, I'm like, why are they dropping the F-bomb every other?
This is like I watched this with Lex. Okay. This is great. You would love their Mixie on that show.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. He does some clever things. It's a really well done show. Between that and now, obviously, 2025 Superman, which we are just months away from, and I cannot wait. We are.
When are we going to get a trailer for this bad boy?
At the time of this recording, I have said time and time again throughout this season, drop it during the series finale of Superman and Lois. Put it in the commercial break. Just like Superman Returns did on Smallville.
Yeah.
With during season 5 Solitude, they showed the teaser trailer for Superman Returns. What if, and I know that WB doesn't have any weight in CW anymore and whatever. I get that that's not a great marketing, but it's more eyes on the finale. It's more eyes on the trailer. I think it's good from a marketing standpoint. I've suggested that a lot of people have been like, but it's James Gunn that canceled Superman and Lois, and that you really want to.
I feel like it was The Rock that canceled it.
Well,
the power structure in the DC universe changed.
The hierarchy, yeah, it sure did.
And then it changed again.
And then it changed quickly. Very quickly again, swiftly even. So, yes. That's what I've always thought. I'm like, I think that would be a great passing of the torch. But I do think we'll see it in December. I think we'll see it before the end of the year, and hopefully know what we're getting into. We've gotten an official first look at Superman and Crypto and Jimmy Olsen. Somehow we've yet to see Lois Lane. That bothers me.
I love that Crypto. I love the style of that Crypto, by the way. Crypto. I know we keep going off. We need to end this show.
We're good. It's time. It's time. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you for our special supersized series finale episode of Superman and Lois. It went by so fast. Good night, everybody.